Dear Jack and Jellyfy, I have been watching your show since 2013, and I must say it has left a lasting impact on me. From your wacky sense of humor to your more serious, sincere moments, this show has been very dear to me, holding a very special place in my heart. However, there is one aspect of the show that has bothered me for quite a while. Viewer voting! I love this community, I really do. But nothing fills my heart with more hatred than watching an interesting character clearly having a plot built up being eliminated over a character with no substance because the fandom thinks they're so cute or so hot. I swear, if that bland, boring, fuck-ass tree gets any more screen time, I'm going to shove my iPad in the toaster, throw it in the bath, and jump straight in! Though, I do see and completely understand the value of audience interaction. Sincerely, Mihalina. Sorry about that intro. It's completely unrelated to the video, but I still haven't gone over TPOT 14. Or TPOT 15 for that matter. Or TPOT 16. Or BFDIA 18. Or... Okay, yeah, you know what? I'll stop. Despite its rather infuriating eliminations, I've been pretty satisfied with BFDI's winners so far. If you watched the premiere of BFB 25, you probably got to see my eccentric 12-year-old self spam about how much they wanted Flower to win. However, if you can tell by my intro, I've lost any prior confidence I had in BFDI voters. So, I'm making this video in hopes that it'll get viewers to let the character I believe most deserves to win TPOT stay in the game. Golfball. Now, I can't lie to you and say that hasn't been the character I've rooted for to win practically every season, but now I actually have a reason besides she's my favorite, and I'm here to talk you through it. Strap in, viewer, because you're about to experience the incoherent ramble of a lifetime.
I'll try.
Golfball has never been the nicest, most likable character in BFDI history. She's known as the bozo brain bossy bot. I think that tells you all you need to know about what her fellow contestants think of her. And I think that bossy attitude might be the root cause of her previous eliminations, and her habit of being in the bottom two. Her unwelcome leadership and inability to listen to others is a very consistent part of her character, which makes her insanely unpopular amongst the cast, which is something I want to touch on later on too. However, her general unpleasantness seems to change throughout TPOT. In the first few episodes, she's still her same old self, forcing herself into being in charge, not assigning herself into any proper jobs, spending an entire challenge trying to figure out the perfect stacking method, etc., etc. But it's with Puffball where her character begins to shift. She starts off totally disrespecting Puffball, seeing her as less of a teammate and more of an obstacle, regularly excluding her from challenges, probably out of fear that Puffball will betray her team again or just mess something up. She quite obviously has trust issues, particularly towards Puffball, and yeah, that makes sense considering what she did in BFDIA 5e, but that doesn't really excuse her behaviors towards her in challenges. Her fellow RUOKers have enough of this exclusion eventually, and decide that it's about time Golfball misses a challenge with Puffball, which neither of them seem to be pleased about, but they go along with it without much protest because they don't really have much of a choice. But despite everything, they get along really well. Golfball's strategic mind, Puffball's flight abilities and dangerous thinking, and their joint love for stirring up trouble combined makes them a really powerful duo. Though it was short-lived, viewer voting being to blame, of course, I think their friendship arc did a really good job at kicking off Golfball's development in this season. She becomes a lot better of a person in TPOT, at least from my perspective. I think the biggest changes happen when she moves to Cloudier, a team that can be best defined with the word dysfunctional. Said dysfunction stemming from the type of contestants the team consists of. Putting Golfball on a team made up of hyperactive, uncooperative, and downright insane people was a really clever decision. I find myself enjoying Cloudier's dynamic a lot. They're like a beautiful train crash. Cloudier really tests Golfball's patience. They make it very clear right from the start that they are not going to listen to her whatsoever, even if that's at the cost of being put up for elimination. Not a really good thing for someone who hates nothing more than losing. Rejected by her team, she chooses to do her own thing, proving that, yeah, she can actually put in an effort and assign herself a job, and that she is really determined. Unfortunately, her efforts don't get the appreciation that she wants, her team siding more with Donut than her, which is just really frustrating for her, something made pretty clear by her and Donut's exchange in Teapot 13. But then Teapot 15 rolls around and her view on winning shifts. Teapot 15 is a very important point for Golfball's character development, at least for now. Based on that scene in Teapot 16, bigger things may be coming for our beloved Bossy Ball, and is generally just a really important episode in Teapot. If you're watching this, you probably already know what happens. The world starts to fall apart thanks to the failed debuter's irresponsible handling of tennis balls Yoyolite. In typical Object Show fashion, the ever-switching hosts assign each team to go back in time to find all the missing debuters and return them to the present as the episode's challenge, which ends up with the contestants messing up the timeline even more, because the challenge was to return the most debuters, not fix the damage they caused, right? Most of the contestants start off with this mindset, black hole tennis ball, and, of course, golf ball being the exceptions. But they all do eventually realize that maybe it isn't worth risking the destruction of the world as they know it just to win a challenge. Well, almost all of them. Pencil's mindset in this episode parallels Golf Ball's previous mindset in regards to winning. Throughout the challenge, Pencil continuously brushes off Golf Ball's concerns about the timeline, disregarding the dangers of altering past events so they can get in and out as quickly as possible. Pencil's prioritization of completing the challenge, stubbornness, and insistence on taking charge seems to be mirroring some of Golf Ball's past actions. Golf Ball is seeing her own behaviors, albeit to a much more extreme degree, from the point of view of her teammates, and it's certainly an eye-opening experience for her. It makes her realize that her view on winning can be insanely dangerous. She acknowledges this an episode later when confronting Pencil for using her teammates to her advantage.
Pencil, Donut is right. I've been guilty of the same thing, focusing solely on winning, but last challenge showed me how important everything outside of the competition also is. We can't win as a team unless we work as a team. Repeating words in your sentence won't make me listen to you.
Seeing Golf Ball reflect on this unhealthy, success-centric mindset and try to get Pencil to cooperate really shows how far Golf Ball has come as a character. It feels really strange to admit you feel proud for a fictional sentient Golf Ball, but it's true. I'm proud of her, and I can't wait to see where her development will take her next.
I'll try.
Anyone who's watched BFDI for any amount of time can tell you that Golf Ball is not very well liked amongst her fellow castmates. Throughout the whole series, she's had 2 friends, one of which was eliminated almost immediately after they started getting along. Most likely because, as I mentioned in my last point, she was pretty damn unlikable. Her castmates make it pretty clear what they think of her, and I mean, some of it is definitely warranted. If I was on BFDI, I'd be questioning her authority too. But some of the things said about her are a bit uncalled for. For example, Book's definition of Golf Ball. Damn, girl, what did she do to you? Also, Penn's reasoning for choosing Rocky over Golf Ball in BFDI 11 makes her the first Object Show character to experience transphobia! Way to make history, I guess. Actually, now that I think about it, BFDI 11's elimination ceremony is a testament to Golf Ball's unpopularity within the cast. At this point in the season, it was the contestants from the winning team that would choose which contestant in the bottom 2 would join their team and which contestant would be sent to the TLC. In this elimination, every single member of the Squishy Cherries chooses Rocky, objectively one of the most useless characters, over Golf Ball. I'd say that's pretty telling. So the characters don't really like her. So what? This isn't the early 2010s anymore. We've got plenty of unlikable fan favorites now, Golf Ball included. Alright, yeah, the fandom has gotten a lot more accepting of mean characters, and Golf Ball has managed to gain an impressive amount of fans, but that doesn't change the fact that her voting stats really suck. Like, I think regardless of how the fandom viewed her, her performance in eliminations would still be considered awful. Not only was she part of the first ever bottom 2 in Object Show history, but she's been part of a whopping 7 bottom 2s overall, putting her in joint first place with Rocky for the most bottom 2s. However, unlike her dear bottom 2 magnet friend Rocky, she hasn't made a single merge, making her the only Gen 1 contestant that hasn't merged. This claim of mine was flimsy before BFDIA 18 because I was going off of, well, BFDIA 14, the teams worked totally different because they were sorted in pairs, and that's the episode Golf Ball was eliminated in, so yeah. But thanks to TB's disbandment token, Golf Ball's only Gen 1 non-merger status is official! Yeah, and that's not a good thing. I shouldn't be so enthusiastic. Point is, Golf Ball's had a bad track record with voting despite her strong fan base, and she's been robbed season after season. I really think she deserves better. Like, she's a great contestant. Hell, she's a brilliant contestant. She's proven to be a strong competitor, what with her brains, insane inventing skills, and her ability to come up with some damn good strategies. Which leads me to my next point.
I'll try.
When you think about it, Golfball is insanely talented, probably even more than any other contestant on the show. In BFDI, skills don't really count for much for winning, since winners are decided through a vote, and not any sort of challenge. But to me, her mad skills play a pretty big role in my support for her. Like, there are many characters still left in the season that I really like and also wouldn't mind winning, but a lot of them don't have much more to offer than a fun, endearing personality. And as happy as I would be for them, I don't think it would be as satisfying of a win as if it was Golfball. Like, one of the reasons I wanted Flower to win BFB so badly was because she worked so hard to get to the end. She proved herself to be a great competitor, with both her social game and game improving vastly over the season. Her win felt so satisfying because she fought hard, and not harshly or unfairly like she did in Season 1, and I'd say Golfball is putting up a damn good fight herself this season. Again, this girl is determined. She didn't let her team not listening to her stop her. She carried on with what she thought was right, what she thought would work. From my perspective, her going through with her own plans wasn't just something she did because she knew whatever her teammates were doing would fail, and, well, she actually wanted to succeed, though that was definitely a big part of it, but also an act of defiance in a way, trying to prove her worth to a team that sees her mostly as a boring, bossy egomaniac. I'm not sure how to phrase it without making it sound like I think Golfball is some perfect being that constantly gets tossed aside by her abusive team. My inability to properly convey what I mean without coming off the wrong way aside, determination isn't exactly a skill, strength, or talent. It's a great characteristic, but not quite what I was supposed to be writing about, staring angrily at myself from 4 hours ago. I'm thinking of something more tangible, like her killer inventing prowess. Some of the stuff she makes is insane, like a machine that generates a roller coaster out of nothing but your own thoughts, a liquid that, when baked, becomes an island, a machine that reads thoughts both ways, a fish monster-shaped submarine that can translate your speech into fish monster language. Her ego got in the way of her using that one. She's really fast at it too. Girl was able to create a laser gun in mere seconds, and looked badass when using it too. Look me in the eyes and just try to tell me that isn't impressive. At this point, I'm just raving about how cool and impressive Golfball is. I had a lot more to say earlier. I guess I just lost my rhythm. So I might as well move on to my fourth and final point.
I'll try.
I'm going to keep this one brief because it isn't even really related to the whole winning thing. I'm going to be so for real with you right now. Golfball might be one of the most funniest characters in this show, purely because she's just so serious. It's a contrast between her professional approach to things and the tone of the show. BFDI is a silly, nonsensical show. The fact she takes everything so seriously just makes her insanely entertaining to watch. It's like, you can't take her seriously because she takes something unserious seriously. This clip from BFDIA might be my favorite example.
Bingo 1510 says, why does Golfball have to be eliminated so early again? She's one of the funniest characters on the show. Thanks for the compliment. But my main goal is not to be funny. It's to keep order and peace so that our team will excel to victory.
Like, girl, come on. I also really like the gag of her naming teams by accident. She always reacts so dramatically. Her reactions to a lot of things in general. She reacts so intensely to things that really aren't that big of a deal, which I guess is just an extension to the comedy of her taking everything so seriously. Dude, the face she made when Pencil refused to promise not to switch teams was so good, they put it in the BFDI character guide. Absolutely iconic.
I'll try.
I know I'm probably never going to be able to convince a whole fandom to get any characters the finale, especially considering I can't write an essay to save my life. Like, honest to God, I've been thinking about making a video like this for months now. The unmedicated rambles I'd go on to myself felt more convincing than anything I've written down here. But hey, no matter how well you make an argument, you're always gonna have someone who disagrees. I'm not gonna, force you to vote to save Golfball every time she's up for elimination. Everyone's got their faves that they want to see go far, but I would really appreciate if you would at least consider it. She's got a lot of winning traits, and with everything she's been through, I really think she deserves to make the merge at least. But yeah, that's all I have to say for now. See you around, stranger. Wait, I just realized how funny it would be if after all that non-canon hassle with the winner's seesaw, she ended up winning a season.